You know how one wave comes and collides with another in the ocean, and how both the waves are bursting. Similarly, the attitudes of one person are traveling as cross currents of the attitudes of another person. The temperament of one person is repulsive to the temperament of another person. The presence of one person is disagreeable to the presence of another person. This is the case when you do not know how to steer. The many types of temperaments in human beings produce cross currents, and the result is a wastage, a continuous wastage of human magnetism. Do you know how much energy is being released when two waves collide and burst in the ocean? Same thing is happening when two people are quarreling in a house, when two people are fighting in the street, or when two people are silently thinking against each other. So, it is not the thoughts and ideologies that form truth. Reduce the value of ideologies and thoughts. Improve the value of the direction of the currents. Try to understand each other and find out how the various temperaments exist in the world. And here comes the value of astrology. When you find the 12 zodiacal signs working, and when you find the living beings are produced under the influence of the different zodiacal signs, you will find that the one is different from the other. A person born in the month of Aries is quite different from the person born in the month of Taurus. And there is a temperamental difference indeed. The one is dynamic by nature, the other is poised by nature. Before the two fellows are properly trained in their direction, if they are put together by making them husband and wife, or colleagues in an office, or friends, or student and teacher, or a doctor and a patient, then comes the trouble. The doctor who is dynamic, being born under Aries, can never understand the basic nature of the Taurus patient, whose basic expression is poise and equilibrium. Poise is understood as static by the Aries man. He finds that the Taurus man is lacking in dynamism, and the Taurus man finds that the Aries man is a dangerous, risky fellow. If without knowing each other they become partners in a business, the one is interested in pioneering spirit, that is, the one who is born under Aries goes on making an expansion, whereas the man born under Taurus is interested to go on making consolidation. And the two processes are inimical to each other. The expanding mind is different from the consolidating mind. The first one begins to make an acquaintance with every new customer, speaking everything brilliant, making very happy premises, traveling from customer to customer, pocketing many number of customers at each time. Pocketing, that is securing many number of customers at a time. The Taurus man hates him because he calls the Aries man hasty. He has no retrospection. He has no sense of consolidation. He has no sense of keeping up his promises. And these two fellows begin to fight. The result is the business goes to bankruptcy. The two fellows begin to accuse each other. all the courage and the pioneering spirit of the Irishman, when not properly trained, will be spent like the case of the Alexander the Great, who went on conquering country after country for no value at all. Because the moment he turned his back to the country, once again every country became independent, so that the whole game was a total wastage. And finally he died drunk in the boat. So there is greatness, no doubt, in Alexander the Great, but there is no work done in terms of realization, work of no significance. And you know how the Irishman criticizes the Taurusman. He says that the Taurusman has no spirit of adventure, that he has no ideals in life, and that he has no courage, and he cannot achieve anything in life. But in fact, each has its own significance in creation. If this were to be the difference between the first two zodiacal signs, what will be the difference if you consider the 12 signs separately? Each of the 12 signs is unique in its own way and has no second in the zodiac. So we are created as groups of 12, and we have many errors committed and many rectifications made before we can get at the proper training to gain mastery over the forces of nature. We are drowned many times in the cross currents, and thousands of years mankind is trying to gain mastery over these 12, that is the 12 types of temperaments that are living on this earth. And the story is symbolically given in the 12 tribes in the Old Testament. There are people who are foolish enough to think that the story of the Old Testament is only historical. It is not at all historical, but it is allegorical. It is a history of the mankind through ages and generations, and it should be properly studied and understood, and how the 12 tribes divided and separated and disobeyed the law of creation, and how they killed themselves in the name of global war. Not only of the First and Second World Wars in this century, but also in the thousands and thousands of wars that have gone past in the past. And we have not grown wise. We are once again ready to wage a third world war. So, the 12 zodiacal signs, when properly understood, should appear to you as a flower of 12 petals, having its oneness in the flower and the manyness in the petals. Now, if you understand the diversity of the human temperaments in the world, in the pattern of the 12-petaled lotus, the zodiacal ring, and how each petal behaves in its own way, at the same time forming a part of the total flower. So, it is not the unity that you have to bring, but it is the innate oneness you have to realize and visualize. It is not the oneness, not the unity. Unity is that which we make, that which the politicians are trying to make, that which the sociologists are trying to make, that which the psychologists are trying to make, that which the university professors are trying to make. But the oneness that is there as our undercurrent is not yet taught in any one of the universities. Because with due respects to the professors of the universities are not evolved enough to teach this. They are still primitive and ignorant only to teach the commercial aspect of education. And in the name of literacy, we are deceived that education is given to us. Literacy is being sold in the universities, and we are deceived that we are being given education. Real education exists in knowing the real oneness of mankind, and the astrological wisdom essentially forms a part of it. If we know the 12-petaled lotus as the emblem of mankind at large, then we can roughly know each other. We can know the differences in temperaments, and we can know how they can be worked out into harmony. When we gain mastery over the 12-petaled lotus, then we have the 12 planets, each of which make a separate mode of expression existing in each of the 12 signs. For example, the sun traveling in Aries gives a mode of expression which is different from the mode of expression given in Taurus. The self-expression of every man differs from the other man, just as the temperament of every man differs from the other man. The temperament is given by the zodiacal signs, whereas the self-expression is given by the planets in the various signs. And the psychological centers of consciousness that make the psychological pattern of the human being should be properly studied by knowing the horoscope. The horoscope is nothing but a pattern or a design which gives to you a clue of your fullest expression, by knowing which you are expected to train yourself into the fullest expression of yourself to the help of the mankind around you. And in the hospitals we see, when one doctor treats a patient, the patient improves, and if another doctor treats the same patient, the patient does not improve. The difference is in the difference of the magnetism of the zodiacal signs and planets. If we have the zodiacal and the planetary wisdom as a part of the basic education of mankind, the doctors will be trained in such a way that a doctor treats the patient according to the birth sign of the doctor and the patient, and the unscientific specialization of the modern age will go away. Now we know specialists of the eye, specialists of the nose, specialists of the ear, but each specialist treats the organ he is concerned with, and no one is concerned with the human being who is the patient. An eye specialist can treat the eye, an ear specialist can treat the ear, but no specialist can treat you as a man. This is the fate of the medical science since the time of specialization. But the medical science should be generalized and not specialized. The medical education of the human being should be given to every doctor first, and then in the advanced course he may know something about specialization. And healing is not at all possible under the conditions of the present type of specialization in medical science. Healing deals with the human being as a whole, and it is the horoscope that will help you. If you make a horoscope of a patient, and if you are a doctor and an astrologer, you will know if you are compatible with the patient or not. You will know if your presence heals or hurts the patient. There is much truth in this. The same patient treated with the same medicine improves with a doctor and goes down with another doctor. The result is the law of magnetism that is working in nature, producing attraction when properly used and repulsion when wrongly used. This should be an important point in the art of healing. You know the name of Hippocrates, the great seer, whose statue and whose photograph is used as a trademark by the modern science. and his name and his photo are being cruelly marketed by the commercial medical science of the day. And no medical professor is interested to teach a single page from the books of Hippocrates, because he knows that if the book of Hippocrates be opened, all the commercial aspect of the modern science goes into the ocean. The modern medical man who lives in the commercial world has to go and drown himself deep in the ocean, if at all he cares to read a few lines from the book of Hippocrates. All the laws of healing in a scientific way are dealt with by Hippocrates. The law of magnetism, the law of attraction and the law of repulsion has been discussed scientifically by him. And the law of transmitting human energy into patients is discussed by him. And he remarks that a doctor who is not astrologer is a quack. Excuse me, it is a sentence of Hippocrates, it is not my sentence. If you think it foolish, you can believe that Hippocrates was a fool. But you are using his photograph to market the students every day. And you know the oath of Hippocrates. He has given an oath to be taken by those who want to be healers. Now all the commercial doctors hang it to their wall and do many things against it shamelessly. Let us once again try to follow his doctrines and honor his word that no doctor who is an astrologer, who is not an astrologer, is a quack. And if we know the scientific side of astrology, and if we do not feel it beneath our dignity to accept that there are real scientific people in the ancient days also, then we can use the art of healing in a scientific way. In fact, the advent of astrology and the advent of homeopathy in the modern century have opened new horizons to the minds of the real thinkers. But it is a matter of encouragement that is required, and people are cruelly discouraged to believe these two branches, and they are being discouraged for commercial motives. And it is the duty of the healer not to get discouraged, not to care for the public opinion, because it is for you to see what others want, not what others think about you. Remember this statement once again. Don't look to what others think about you. Think for what others want from you. Don't mind if they misunderstand you. Begin to understand them better. That is the real beginning. The real beginning. You have to make such a heroic beginning and make the cross currents neutralized and make the various temperaments understand each other. The difference should be understood as harmony, and just as the musician uses all the sounds to frame into a song, and when you see how the same sounds are used in disharmony by two people who are fighting each other, when the same sounds can produce horror and terror, the same sounds can produce at the same time music and symphony also. And this is the basic understanding of the variety of humanity and the supplementary nature of different natures of human beings should be understood. When two people are temperamentally different, they are complementary and supplementary in this world. Pythagoras says, the lower numbers find their LCM in the higher numbers. The lower mind of ideas and thoughts, which disagrees with the ideas and thoughts of others, finds its own agreement with others' thoughts on the higher and higher plane. So this is the meaning when Pythagoras says that the lower numbers find their LCM in the higher numbers. If 5 and 7 are not found common, and if you find that they are basically different, you find a number 35 where 5 and 7 are harmonic. In such terms, you have to understand your neighbors. And then only you can understand the real statement, love thy neighbor as thyself. Without knowing this, the meaning of love is only sex. So, let us travel safely and with sufficient caution along the lines of force and cover the staircase which is made up of the various cross currents of force, and successfully step into the plane of spirit, starting our journey from the down floor, that is the floor of matter. Let us leave the material plane and climb up the steps of forces that are many in number and that are ever winding in their spirals, so that no two steps exist on the same height. If the two steps exist in the same height, they are not steps and you cannot climb up. Only because of the difference in the heights of the steps you are able to climb up. So, only due to the cross currents of existence in this universe, you will be able to climb up the staircase of forces. The temperamental differences among us make us climb up to perfection. And the different modes of expression that exists among us should form the mosaic required, so that we may not stumble on the staircase and fall down the steps and break our knees or necks or heads in the vertigo and stupefaction of our achievements. So, sufficient amount of caution is required for the mankind of the present decade, because he is on the way of force. He has to make a success in the plane of, and from matter to spirit via forces should be the goal of the present mankind. And in this line, astrology helps us a lot, and homeopathy also helps us a lot. For so many reasons, homeopathy forms an unavoidable part of progress. First of all, it minimizes the over-drugging, evil of over-drugging among us. It demands from us that we should stop taking so many medicines in the day and use medicines only when the body indicates the existence of some disturbance. And even that, use the medicine in a very minimum dose, diluted and diluted. The second principle which is healthy in homeopathy is that it makes us understand that there is no physical disease without mental disease. Unless we have a disease in the mind, we do not misbehave with our food or drink, or our sleep or our work, or our sex. And therefore we do not purchase a disease to our body. This is the one thing that homeopathy makes us understand. Unless our mind is diseased, unless our mind is really sick, we do not prefer to choose the wrong thing to eat or drink. That is what homeopathy not only teaches us, but also makes us understand when we properly follow the philosophy of homeopathy. In the third step, homeopathy advises us to understand that we have three planes of existence: the plane of matter, the plane of force, and the plane of consciousness. Health exists in the consciousness steering the matter to make the consciousness steer the forces to make the matter work. If our mind orders the vital force in us, what to do or what not to do, then the force in us makes the parts move, and then we can drive or we can carry things or do our daily routine. So the body should be galvanized by the force in us, and the force in us should be steered by the mind in us. Then it is called health according to homeopathy. When the mind is conditioned by the force in us, and when the mind and force are smoked by the matter in us, it is called disease. So this is the understanding of health and disease according to homeopathy. It is quite different from the clinical way of understanding. The clinical way is to test the various chemical materials of the body to see if they are normal or abnormal, and to decide that there is disease when there is an abnormality in the biochemistry of the body. But homeopathy says this is only a physical plane, and what we find on the physical body are only results and not causes. Some of the causes exist in the vital plane, the forces that steer the matter in the body. For example, when there is constipation, it is not the matter in our intestines that is at fault, but it is the force that is causing the movement in the intestines that is at fault. Unless the intelligence that moves the force is at fault, the force cannot work faultily, and the matter in our intestines cannot get blocked. If something is kept dirty in the house, it is not the dirt that is responsible. If the walls are spoiled in the house, it is not the walls that are responsible, but it is the persons who are existing in the house who can be understood as fools and who require rectification. If you leave the persons away and begin to make the walls better and ask the same fellows to live in the house,